good morning, everybody. Your boy's back. Had a nasty flu. Still not 100%. Still don't have my full lung capacity. I can feel it, but I don't feel sick, so that's a good part. This market's been a little negative to start the year. I mean, a lot negative. Uh, Taking off some of that froth from the prior year. Obviously, had a monster run. Looking at a little correction here. So let's get into this and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Use volume profile, market profile, define structure in the market. Also supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the preceding day. This all helps me to see where strength is, who's the who's winning the bull or the bear, right? Hence the artwork that you're looking at, right? So if you can subscribe, set an alert if you haven't already. And again, I apologize, me being sick, nothing I can do about it, but I am back. Hopefully just continue to get better. I don't like not having my full breath still, but that's the case. If you like the content, please give me a thumbs up. And you can also follow me on X at Gonzo719. Okay? Now, let's look at these futures. Alright, let's look at the futures. We got a VIX that's up 3.82%. Bitcoin's up 2.59%. ETH is up 0.68. Nasdaq's up 0.08. Dollar's basically flat. 10-year yield doesn't report to 820. ES is flat. The Russell's down 0.15. 30-year bonds are being sold. 10-year yield should rise a little bit. The Dow's down 0.37. Silver's down 1%. Gold's down 1%. Alright, gold pulling back. Still above 2K. Crude, the big loser today. With I saw Saudi Arabia making some price cuts. Okay, that's why crude is down. Now I'm licking my chops at crude because this is what happens. You kind of found a bottom, and what happens is you usually get a final selling before you get a face ripping rally. So I've got my eye on crude. Let's move on to stocks I like to day trade and swing trade. Okay. With the love in Bitcoin, you got Coin, it's up 2.2, well, up 2%. AMD got a price target raise. That is up 1%. Nvidia is up 0.67. Okay. Here's the laggards. I did see Apple have some negative news, but they're positive. We got Baba's down 2.29. Boeing, I mean, pretty much everybody heard this news with that piece of that blowout, and they had to have an emergency landing on Alaska Airlines. So, every year it seems Boeing has some really negative news and it gaps down. I was actually talking to Rosita, my friend, and if you look at Boeing, it's had a pretty much a meteoric run with very poor structure below it. So it's not standing on really that great support below. So this thing could really go down quickly. And it's at like the 50-day moving average right now. It could go down definitely to around 213, 215, around 200-day moving average. I'm not saying today, but it doesn't have poor structure. It doesn't have very good structure. So I'm going to be watching that. All right, let's look at these top sector stocks here. Qualcomm. And let's go with the laggard. We got, now CVX actually just got an upgrade. Okay. They got an upgrade. However, because of crude, it's down 0.57. And then you got Exxon's down 0.91. All Right, that's what's going on with the top sector stocks. Okay. Now, moving on to sectors. Now, sectors, no surprise, semis leading, followed by technology. Lagger is energy. I have to fix these windows. There's a lagger in energy. Okay. Out of the indexes today, the weakest is the Dow, the strongest is the Qs. But strong is definitely not a good word to describe it. It's only up 0.15 pre-market. Okay. Now we can get into some news. The calendar. Let's look at some. Look at the earnings this week. Okay. Let's look at some of the headlines that I talked about. There's the Boeing news. U.S. investigators recover key part from Alaska Airlines. The key. Let's go at the pandemic jobs hole. NVIDIA to launch China-focused AI chip. And here's the Apple negative news. It hasn't affected you right now. Apple iPhone sales in China fall 30%. Okay. Those are some of the things going on there. Economic calendar. The only thing really today is a Fed Bostic speaking at 12:30 p.m. All right. Now, this week we do have Fed Williams speaking Wednesday, but then CPI is on Thursday. Okay. Initial jobless claims. And then we have PPI on Friday. And then Fred Kashkari speaking. All right. I don't know how much CPI. Let's look at the headline number. Forecasting 3.1. Previous was 3.1. So they're looking for no change. I don't know how much this market this year is going to move unless this number is hotter than expected. Right? CPI is probably going to be becoming less and less important unless it's hot. All right. But that's really what I see with the economic calendar. Now, if we're going to look at earnings this week, you got some important earnings this week. All right. So today, not really. Tuesday, Tilray. Weed stocks have been catching a bid lately. All right. And then we got, let's see here. I think it's Friday really where you get to JP Morgan. You got bank earnings. JP Morgan, United Healthcare, Delta, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citi, Bank of New York, Mellon. That's all on Friday. That's a heavy bank earnings on Friday. All right, so that's what we have on Friday. Okay. Now we can get over to the daily charts here. Let's pull those up. And let's see what we have going on here. Okay. So, what did we do last week? This orange, obviously, is the previous week's highs and lows. We broke below those. We actually went to the previous week's lows right here. That's where we found support, okay, at around 467 in this buy. Okay, closed below the 9 EMA daily and the 20 simple moving average. Okay, now this doesn't have great structure right here. So if we were to fall, I would suspect we fall down here around 460, 458 or so. If there's an extra push lower, we have to yet to know if that's true. Okay. So other than that, where are we at now? 468.26. Yeah, we're like pretty much at the mid to lower third of the range on Friday right now. We continue to hold value lower, which is bearish. Okay, which is bearish. We have sold pretty hard. Now we'll kind of have 2 days with balance. All right. You generally, as long as you have you moving value lower, the chances to move lower obviously increase. All right. Let's look at the Qs. Qs have been weaker. So there's the previous week's highs and lows. There's the week before that's highs and lows. Smash that. Okay. Now look the difference, right? Remember I showed you the poor structure in the spiral. Here's poor structure in the Nasdaq. Look, it almost coming down to 394. That's what I would look at as support for the Qs. And it broke this trend. Okay. So if we get any more weakness, I believe you find support at 394 and takes a little rest. You even can undercut it, and then probably, because then you got consolidation here, and that should be supportive in the market. Okay. Now where are we at now? 397.35 in the middle of the range. Okay. You have a double top here, which we'll talk about later, which is a weak high. So again, the Qs almost came down to 394. Okay. So that's what we have going on there. So a little rotation happening, probably profit taking happening in all these large cap holdings. The Magnificent Seven, okay, they've been weak to start the year. Okay, now we can move on to our triple-headed monster. Take a look at the bond market. Okay, so big down in yields, right? Now you got a little pullback happening here, right at the 200-day moving average. Okay. And where do we go here? This was do I have that right? All right. So we're at a key resistance level here, 4.08. Okay. Is just a swing high, and then we continue lower. Right? This year's an election year. Typically, they're not bearish years. Okay. But you're just getting a pullback. Finally getting people probably some profit taking in bonds. Okay. But still, the trend has been up, all right, in the indexes. We're not in a downtrend. We're in a pullback until that changes, right? So the VIX, the VIX has kind of just been in this range, right? We're at 13.77. We did reach a low of 11.81. VIX is a little elevated, but not too much fear in the market. And the dollar has made a big move down and also has made a swing high here. Let's see if it can go farther and break 100. Okay, because if you go down and yields go down, the market's going to rise again. Okay, but we have to see. We really have to see. That is the triple-headed monster update. Excuse me. I apologize because I'm a little short of breath, so I'm going to cough every now and then. Now, let's go to our structure and market profile. And let's look at this structure together here. Maybe make this a little smaller here. Alright, so this is what we've been doing in the ES. Okay, let's look at all the structure. This is our market profile. Okay, so let's look at all the things we look at. Here's the weekly profile. It's rolling. Most traded price 47.54. Happens to be the monthly VWAP as well. Okay, so 37.54. That's the most traded price of the last week. We are below that. Price is here. Okay, so all that means is we're in a bearish structure, which makes sense because we've been moving down, right? So that's bearish. Okay, now we also have the most traded price of the last month here, around 47.67. All right, so we're below both those major levels. Now, whenever these levels are together, that's major balance. Okay, so any move away from these is a big move. Okay, Keep that in mind. So if we were to come back and hang out in between here, and maybe hang out here and hang out here, the most trades have been put on in the last month and the week here. That is going to cause a big move, one way or the other. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Now let's look at the structure on Friday. We have a high here. Hit monthly VWAP resistance, right? Here's the low. Okay. Now this market's giving us nothing today. The price is right here in the middle. This is the midpoint of Friday. That does not tell us anything. Okay. That's the high of the overnight. That's the low. Inventory here, this much long to this much short. That doesn't really give us an edge either. Okay. So the actionable points really for myself is coming into this area, and you're going to see how it reacts here. If it can't find buyers again, we're going to roll over. And then in here, we hit demand down here. We did find buyers here. Really, if we come down here again, what happens? Do we bounce or do we go lower, right? That's kind of like what you have to look at. For me, otherwise than that, it's noise. Okay? Other than that, it's noise. So, inside Friday session, in the middle of Friday session, doesn't really give you much to work with. All right, so if we look at some scenarios today, okay, like I said, for me, got supply zone here. That's where we're at right now, in a supply zone. If this holds and the market does move down, test Friday's lows and maybe the overnight low and dips its toe into this demand, you really have to see what it does here. If it does some lower highs, we could rip back up, okay, and we could make our way into this area here, in between the most traded price of the month and the week. Then the market has to make a decision here, okay. If it starts to build value above here, the market will move higher. If it finds resistance in here again, we could balance again in here, okay. That's what I'm really seeing for any kind of long play, okay. Now we're talking about short play. Now we are in supply right here, okay. We are in supply here, and you do have buyers here at the lows of Friday and buyers at the overnight lows, okay. So this could cause in here, if we can't get out of this resistance, there's that move down, okay. But like I said, the better play probably is to have a move up, break that supply, come into this area, and you could either touch this supply, and then you can't find acceptance above this area, we're going to probably roll over. So you could do something like this, boom, and then roll over, okay. Like I said though, in this market right now, you don't want to, for me, my style is not to trade in the middle of this muddle. It's just not smart in my way I trade. I don't want to trade in this. I want to go to some type of edge where there's going to be some type of volatility and where you have to make a decision and it's clear, right? All right, moving on. Let's look at the Nasdaq. All right, let's move this up. So the Nasdaq's gaining a little more strength as I've been speaking. Okay. So let's look at the profile in the Nasdaq over the last week. So we have, look at this profile, very balanced market. Okay, you got a perfect bell curve, and look where you're at, almost in the middle of this bell curve. Not a lot of edge there. You're in balance, okay? But you do have something pretty important here. this level, what's this level? 165.72 is the most traded price of the week. Okay, we are below that. However, this is a very, very, very heavily shorts are sitting here. Okay, so what do you have? You have monthly VWAP here. You have the most traded price of the week. You have supply zone, and you have week high here. Look at this. Okay, you have one high here. You have two high here. Three highs here. So shorts are lined up there, along with the most trades in the last week, and monthly VWAP, right, and supply zone. So if the market is to come up here and break this and hold it, we're going to push up. It's a very, very key area. That really is the line in the sand for the NASDAQ, okay? Very important level. Again, that's around 165.77, okay? That's what we're looking at there. Okay, so that's a very, very big level. If it breaks, holds, we're moving higher. All right, that's a lot of shorts there to get hurt. All right, now let's look. The Nasdaq's doing the same thing as the ES. So let's look at Friday. Friday found resistance right at the most traded price of the week. Right there, you can see that. Here's Friday's low, right? So we have overnight low here, overnight high. Price is right here at the highs of the overnight, right? But look where it's at, in the middle of Friday's session. Not an edge there at all. Okay, it's a very similar structure. The only thing is the ES doesn't have this huge weak high, that big key level. It doesn't have that. Okay, but other than that, we're looking at pretty much a similar scenario here. So if we want to go into scenarios for the NASDAQ, okay, very similar. What I'm going to wait for, it could do whatever it wants here, but if it makes its way down back into, yes, Friday's hot lows, overnight lows, and you can find some support here, lower highs, we're probably going to move back and test this area. Okay, that's that huge level. If the market can push up, find acceptance here, you're going to move up. Okay, where do we go up from here? Well, that's 90 MA on the daily. You can possibly go up to the 20 MA on the daily. That's just a huge level. Okay, now on the bear side, all right, we are in supply right now. Like I said, we have longs from this low. You could even push up, come back down, right, and test this demand zone and see how low we can go. That's one. That's not a favorite of mine, but that's a scenario, right? But really, for any kind of bear, if this has worked once, twice, three times now, shorts, come up here, here's the test with that big level. Got monthly VWAP here. Like I said before, most traded price of the week and supply. If we cannot break out of this again, we're going to roll over, and we're probably going to test these lows here. Maybe even go down to this demand zone. All right, because if it's worked three times, why wouldn't it work a fourth? But also sometimes if you knock on a door one time, two times, three times, maybe the fourth time you break out, right? But we have to see. We have to see a very key level in the NASDAQ. So I have my eye on that. All right, I have my eye on that. That's pretty much what I'm seeing right now in the markets. If we look, have a little extra time here. If we look at the structures together, all right, let's look at these structures together. All right, so the whites now is the volume profile for the year. This year, we're below the most traded price of this year. It's not much to glean here. All right, I think if we get super weak, We can go down to 4620. You see a large volume node here. But right now, there's not much tell in this market. Okay, that's the ES. NASDAQ, okay. NASDAQ, same thing. Here you got about a large node here at 16227. You can see why that's a trading activity. If we get weak, we can move down to here. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. That's crude. All right, just to show you guys crude. Right now, below the most traded price of this year. Okay, you could see higher. Each blue profile is a week, and now, last week we made a lower low in the weeklies, but we made a higher high here. Higher low. I'm sorry, higher low here. So just have to see. Crude does this. All right. What happens is people think it's going to go up. It pushes down one more time, and then it rips everybody's face off. We just have to see. Okay. That's going to do it for me today. If you can, subscribe, set an alert if you haven't already. If you like what you saw, please give me a like. And you can follow me on X at Gonzo719. So pretty much got the plan today. Pretty simple with structure. It's just a matter of waiting. Pretty much what I see. And I wish everybody good luck today. Stay green. And hopefully my lungs will get more capacity as the week goes on. All right. I wish everybody good luck, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow.